I don't even really know that. I don't know anything about her. But I'm not a big fan of her singing.
I'm amazed at that. I think she has a lovely voice.
We just cracked up Ryan Clark.
No, I mean, you almost made me choke, man. Listen, hey guys, y'all gotta get along, man. You know what I mean?
Only got 2 weeks left.
Did you see what happened in the NFL yesterday?
Yeah.
Listen, man, we're about peace today, right? We're going to be zen. We're going to find ourselves.
You think Green really wants to fight me?
I would be like Jalen Ramsey.
Not
I
if you paper cut
shove at the end of the play, and then I'm lying on the ground. What the heck happened here?
So you're going to become the victim?
Why did that happen? By the way, here's my overriding take on that. When the officials are sorting out what all the punishments should be at the end of a fight, and there was Frosty Rucker shoved Carlos Hyde into another zip code yesterday, and the one on the sideline with Mike Evans and all of that.
Lattimore, yeah.
I think someone who's looking at that from the video, like the New York people, should be sorting that out. Because if they were doing that, they would have said, don't suspend Jalen Ramsey. And don't throw him out.
Right.
There's no way in the world Mike Evans wouldn't have gotten thrown out.
Absolutely.
The officials on the field just don't see everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to catch everything that goes on. It's hard to know who's the instigator, why things started, and who, especially in this case with Mike Evans, who really came with the Bush Leagueist of plays. And so, obviously, this should be something that they handle more like a review necessarily than the way that they try to do it on the field. And that's probably something they'll look at, especially with the number of fights increasing this year compared to what you've seen in previous years.
Again, if you don't know, A.J. Green from the Bengals, Jalen Ramsey from Jacksonville both got thrown out. Carlos Hyde from San Francisco, Frosty Rucker, Hassan Reddick from Arizona got thrown out. Mike Evans should have got thrown out. How close have you ever come to getting thrown out?
Oh, I don't think I've ever come close at all. I've wanted to fight some people at certain times, but we were a very good team. So most games we were in, so I wasn't going to fight it and get kicked out. But Ike Taylor got in a fight with Hakeem Nicks in the preseason, and I kind of finished off that fight. I just knew better than throw a punch. You know, I came in with I'm breaking it up, choke.
Right.
I'm breaking it up, choke, not necessarily like I'm punching him in the face. And you just have to know how, to kind of massage the situation in those cases. I will say this about the A.J. Green thing. I understand Barry Church talking about the kind of sneak rear naked choke.
Yeah, rear naked chokehold.
Right. So listen, before I start, I don't condone any of those things. I don't think that, there should be fights on the field. I don't think you should sneak up behind the guy and choke him. But I was actually very excited to see it.
Just think you said that qualifier.
Right. Just from A.J. Green's standpoint, this is a guy, I want you to think about his great career thus far and think of anything he said or done that you remember other than his actual play. This isn't a guy you see these type of things from. And Jalen Ramsey, this is the way he plays. He gets in people's head.
He does.
He had Steve Smith wanting to meet him outside the locker room. He has DeAndre Hopkins each and every time they play ready to fight. And A.J. Green was like, you know what, man? I already see where this is going. Let me just shut it down right now. And again, people, I'm not saying people should go out there and fight.
For doing it. You can't get thrown out of the game.
But when I look at A.J. Green's personality, and sometimes how defensive backs like myself or people in general that play the game can take that type of passive, quiet, soft-spoken personality and place the names like soft and timid on a guy. I'm glad to see him say, you know what, man, today is just not the day. Enough is enough. And obviously you don't want these type of things in your league. If you're Marvin Lewis, you definitely don't want him from the Bengals because you get him enough from other guys. But I was kind of excited to see him fight and mix it up a little bit.
I would have been a lot more excited. I don't share that too much because to me it's just dumb. You're getting thrown out of a game. To me, there are other ways. I'm sure you found them. I know I have. There are other ways to exact your revenge on a football field. I would have been way more impressed had he found a way to exact some revenge and remain in the game. That, to me, is the way to do it.
Well, listen, we're not talking about who's impressed. I'm just talking about I'm happy I saw him fight.
Oh.
I'm happy that I saw that type of passion. And listen, here's the thing. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I always enjoyed getting into type of physical, verbal altercations with wide receivers. Because here was always my thought. Mm-hmm. You are not more physical than me. I know for sure when it comes to these pads, I'm way crazier than you are. So in the physical exchange, if we get heated to the point to where we want to exact physical punishment, I'm going to win.
Right.
Like if you come to block me, and you come to crack me, I'm going to split you down the middle. If you catch this ball over the middle, I'm going to split you in half. All you can do is beat me deep. And though that may hurt my career at some point, and though I may hurt the team in the sense that I gave up a touchdown, you are not going to physically hurt me, which is the point you get to at that point. So when it gets to that game, when we're in that game, like, oh, I'm mad at you, I want to have this, I want to see who's the most physical person, I'm going to win. Because all you can do is beat me for a touchdown. All the actual pain that will be inflicted today is going to be by me.
Yep.
So I do understand what you're saying, like, oh, score a touchdown. That don't hurt me. I've been scored on before. I ain't tripping.
That's why he went with the rear naked.
Right, but when they throw this slant to you and hang you out to dry, and it's your last play of the day, guess who won?
Yeah.
Me. Ain't tripping.
Mike and Mike, tomorrow at this time we'll be talking to the Yankees' Aaron Judge. Right now, Ryan Clark is here with the straightest of the straight talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. That was a game that was played also without Leonard Fournette for entirely different reasons.
Yes.
And that's a kid you know, right? Coming from LSU. And there's any number of different things about this story that I found fascinating. One of them is that you read now that the reason for it is that he has apparently been repeatedly late for stuff and things like that. And everything I thought that I knew about him coming out of college would be the opposite of that. So it really surprised me. Were you surprised by that?
I was. I can be honest. I didn't hear about these type of actions or these type of irresponsible things done by Leonard in college. On the other side of that, you also have to realize, like, he's a legend, right? This kid was rushing for over 1,500 yards as a freshman in high school. From the time I heard his name, I knew this is where he would end up as long as he was healthy. And so maybe some of those things were overlooked. Maybe he was babied in a way and allowed to do certain things because of his immense talent. And if you're down there in Jacksonville and if you're a team that's run by Tom Coughlin, you probably let that go longer if some of the things we're hearing out of that camp is true or off that team is true. You've let this go longer than you probably would have let any other player. And I think this is a perfect time to show, hey, look, we can win games without you. This isn't LSU. This isn't St. Augustine in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is a professional football team. And there are other players on this team that you're accountable to. And so it's definitely in direct opposition of what I've always heard about him and what I've always felt in talking to him. He's always been extremely mature, but I think this is going to be a wake-up call for him that, you know what, life in the NFL goes on, whether you're hurt, whether you're irresponsible, whether you're cut. The games are still played. So I think if you look at this team with a new head coach, it's a smart move, and you still win the game.
Well, that's the thing. I think it worked out perfectly. They won the game. Not only did they win the game, they controlled the ball for 40 minutes. They ran the ball 40 times for 148 yards. So they basically just could look at him and say, see, we don't need you.
Exactly.
We didn't need you in this one. So you want to keep messing around, you're going to sit there in street clothes.
100% right. And so they got a win yesterday. Tennessee does too. They're both 5-3. And Houston, my goodness. I mean, Deshaun Watson now looks like the MVP of the league. So
we didn't know that already?
Well, I mean,
you didn't watch Tom Savage the first half of the Jacksonville game?
He was playing like the MVP, but they scored 7 offensive points yesterday against the Colts. 7, because they scored 14 points, and half of them were on defense. But so my point is, let's put them out of the conversation for the moment. I think I'm willing to. To me, it comes down to Tennessee and Jacksonville.
Yes,
absolutely.
Who do we buy?
Absolutely. I don't buy either of them as in I really, really, truly like them. And obviously you always lean toward quarterbacks, and I believe the Titans have a better one.
Yeah.
But when I watch Jacksonville play defense, when I see the attitude that this team has now taken on, which is, you know what, we're going to run the ball. We're going to keep the ball out of Blake Bortles' hands by any means necessary. Whatever we can do to make sure you don't throw it, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to play great defense. We're going to rush the passer. We're going to let these DBs play the game that they've been playing throughout this season. I like Jacksonville because defense travels. And the Tennessee Titans haven't shown, even though they have the greatest of defensive coordinators in Dick LeBeau, they haven't shown that they can consistently stop people. So until that changes for me, I'm going to say the Jacksonville Jaguars are the team that comes out of the AFC South.
I agree, and I don't think either team's making a run in the playoffs.
Right.
But Jacksonville can run, and their defense is so good, and the Tennessee offense is good, but they're not that good.
Right.
They're not that
Absolutely.
good to overcome the Jacksonville defense. So I would lean to the defense.
Mike, and then that brings us all the way back, the point you were making, Ryan, to Tom Coughlin and his past long-standing relationship with Eli Manning, whom he coached for Eli's entire career with the Giants up until last season. And so if you don't feel that you can put the ball in Blake Bortles' hands and win big games, and you look at the Giants and their season spiraling hopelessly out of control and how bad they are, and we played some of your sound earlier today on how bad they are, like a total house cleaning, feeling like it's on the way there. Could you see an NFL where next season Eli Manning is the quarterback of the Jaguars?
I don't want to see an NFL
because
whether it is because I think he deserves to be one of those players that plays his whole career with one team. I think what he's done in New York, the things that he brought there, even with some of the inconsistencies, I think this is what Eli Manning deserves. But what we do know is if Peyton can get it, anybody can get it. And so there's definitely a scenario where Eli Manning can end up there. Obviously, it's going to be on the Jacksonville Jaguars to evaluate him and think, okay, can he come here and still play? It's going to be a situation where they feel they're one player away, and that player is quarterback. And you're going to have to protect Eli. You're going to have to run the football, which is what the Jacksonville Jaguars do. So depending on how Blake Bortles finished this season, depending on how they feel about Eli in New York. Because if you move on from Eli during the season, which it seems Ben McAdoo is open to doing, then you're saying he's not your quarterback ever. He's never going to be the quarterback of this team. And so there is definitely a possibility of seeing Eli Manning down there. You know, we've seen, especially now, so many GMs and so many organizations making moves to win now. This has become like basketball. This has become like baseball where guys switch teams and switch jerseys. So that's definitely something that is a possibility.
Looking at teams that are winning now, Rams, Eagles, Saints. Where do you lean to in the NFC?
The Eagles. The Eagles right now, I'm very impressed with the Saints. I said in the preseason, Louis Riddick and I were having a conversation, and I was trying to convince him that the Saints are going to be good on defense. And so we come in the first week.
That's some hard convincing.
Yeah,
huh?
but you know, I live there, so I watched all the preseason games. And so Louis Riddick comes out the first week, and he and I both pick the Saints, and they get drummed. And Thielen and Diggs are just all over the place, and it's just terrible. And so Louis is saying very bad words to me offset. I know many of you don't believe that Louis says bad words because y'all think he's like Black James Bond and stuff, but Louis says bad words. So he's all mad at me, right? And then and like last night, I was like, see, told you, Louis, told you they'd be good. But when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and their quarterback is playing at such a high level, the only negative I saw to this team was being able to defend people outside of the numbers. I didn't necessarily know, especially once Darby went down, if they had the cornerback play to compete. Jalen Mills, an LSU guy, has come on and honestly played exceedingly better than I thought he would. Douglas on the other side. You had Robertson, Patrick Robertson, who is a veteran. These guys have played so well in the secondary, and I think it's just the confidence that they've built through beating teams and through playing together and through the chemistry and the camaraderie of being winners that this team, to me right now, looks like the playoffs is going to have to go through Philadelphia, and I don't see teams beating them there.
They do have a lot of diverse weapons on offense. They can do a variety of different things with it. They look very good on defense. I tell you what, though, Sean McVay to me is the coach of the year. And solely for what he has done with Jared Goff. You want to talk about resurrecting a pick that looked like for everything they gave up to get him at number 1 overall, looked like he was going to be one of the great disasters of all time. For him now all of a sudden to be playing the way he's playing, a 31-year-old coach, that's remarkable.
Sean was my, in my last year, I went back to Washington. We would have weekly therapy sessions on Monday morning because we weren't very good, and I would just
tell me about him. Yeah,
I would just go sit in his office and talk, just chop it up about life, chop it up about where the team is, different things that I think would help us come together and win some football games, and he would kind of share those ideas, and you could see then, I think he was like 27 or something crazy like that this dude wasn't like, I'm just about these X's and O's. He was trying to figure out ways to run teams. At that point, he knew he wanted to be where he was. He was obviously a prodigy as far as X's and O's go on offense, and he's showing that now. But his ability to galvanize these people, and you speak of Jared Goff, Todd Gurley as well.
Yeah,
Todd Gurley hadn't been the guy who he was his rookie year or the guy who played at Georgia. So he's done an amazing job of making this team, one, believe, but also making us all forget the perception we had of Jared Goff as soon as Hard Knocks went off. Jared Goff was doomed to most of us the day after we finished watching Hard Knocks because it really made him seem what's a good word for this? My expert word. Not smart.
Yeah.
It made him seem like he wasn't very intelligent. And now we see this guy can make all the throws. He's shown toughness. He's played so well this year that you're now not questioning, well, why they get him first, or should Carson Wentz have been the draft pick. He's played so well, you are now forgetting those things, and this is a team that's going to be tough down the stretch.
Yeah, they are. Whitworth they get at left tackle. Sullivan they bring in at center, so they revamp the old line a little bit as well. So certainly a team to watch. How about either Kansas City, who's now lost 3 in a row, or Seattle losing? I was surprised the way they lost. Who are you worried about either one?
Seattle. And the crazy thing is, Golic, I've been worried about them while they were winning. Last week, I went on and I said that Russell Wilson should
real quick. Kansas City just lost. They didn't lose 3 in a row.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 out of 4.
Right.
Okay, and so last week I went on my Russell Wilson's in the MVP race rant. The reason is everybody else is so bad. And the things that he was doing and willing them to win, I thought was amazing. He's now gone from game manager to, if you don't play well, we don't win. And that's what we saw yesterday. It's hard to get a running game. They rushed for almost 140 yards yesterday, or 140 yards. He has over 70 of those yards. He throws the 2 picks. They're not able to move the ball. They aren't able to protect him. And so Russell Wilson has done all of these things by himself. Yesterday, Earl Thomas didn't play. We know how important he is to that defense. When's the last time a team is down to Seattle and they have a 2-minute drive and you pick that quarterback over the Seattle defense?
Unreal.
If his name's not Tom Brady, if his name's not Aaron Rodgers, who hasn't played great against Seattle, you're not thinking to yourself, they're going to score. They drove the ball down the field, had 2 huge plays in the 2 minute, and scored a touchdown to beat the Seattle Seahawks. So this defense isn't the same as well, and that worries me. I think Kansas City has just gotten too cute, to be honest with you, Go. Like they kind of fell in love with, oh, look at us. We can do all this cool college stuff, instead of saying, you know what, I'm just going to turn around and hand it to Kareem Hunt. I'm just going to turn around and pitch it to Tyreek Hill. I'm just going to throw Travis Kelce option route reading off the linebacker. So I think Andy will read some of those things, look at some of those things, and figure that part out. And defensively, they're going to have to change some things up. But I feel like they have a more solid foundation to build on going forward than Seattle does.
Yeah, and the good news for them in Kansas City is that the rest of the division has underperformed.
Yeah, exactly.
Raiders get a win last night, but they haven't been nearly as good as we thought. The Chargers have come back into it a little bit, and Denver has lost 4 straight. Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line with Ryan Clark here in our studios, who look around some of the other things happening in the league. I'm trying to remember this in my head. When you were in Washington, you were just describing your time with Sean McVay, Griffin was still the quarterback, right?
Yes.
So did you see much of Cousins? He's a fascinating person.
Remember, that was the year Cousins he played. Rob got hurt early on in the season. Actually, it was a play out of bounds against Cleveland in the preseason. Broke his ankle or did something crazy. We talked about him being a rat on a motorcycle before.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, we kind of know how that goes. And so Kirk, that year we played games and he was great sometimes, and then he was awful. And when he was awful, he was really bad. But when he was on, he was amazing. And I think he's gotten rid of the totally awful days. He's done a good job of not just being in a position where you look at him and say, like, this guy can't be our quarterback. But he also hasn't given you that consistent franchise quarterback play that I think the Redskins are looking for to give him the type of money that he wants. But when you look at the other quarterbacks in this game, and we talked about Tom Savage earlier, obviously any quarterback that the Cleveland Browns trot out, and many other teams, even when you go to guys like Blake Bortles and different guys along that level, Kirk Cousins is better than a lot of quarterbacks in this league. And I think what he did yesterday, finding a way to win that game, finding a way to make the plays when 4 of your offensive linemen are on the sideline, 4 of your starters, I think was really huge for him. And even if you go back to the Kansas City game, he actually made the play to win the game. Josh Dawson just dropped the ball.
That's exactly
so I think he's taken a step, not necessarily in his overall play, but in the play in clutch moments, situational football, making the throws he needs to.
And I think what you said is huge. He doesn't have those awful where he's really, really, really good or really, really bad. He's really leveled that out.
Yes, exactly.
One final thing as we let you go, RC, and so it's great to have you here. When a receiver, and in this case a great one, like Julio Jones, drops a ball like the one he dropped yesterday, where he is as open as you can be, and the ball just hits him directly in the hand. It couldn't have thrown it any better, and he drops it. As a defensive back, do you say something to him?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's the
But
thing.
You don't get into
Here's the
some
other
kind
thing.
of, like,
First of
making
all,
fun of him.
have you ever seen Julio Jones
He's
in
big.
person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Large
Listen.
fellow.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, guys. I'm tough. I try to be a tough guy. I also try to be a smart guy. Julio Jones just dropped the ball that puts them back in the game. All I'm saying to Julio, hey, man, are you okay? Did you hurt yourself when you fell? Would you like some water, sir? Listen, hey, man, Julio is not going to hit me like Wilder was hitting this dude this weekend. He's not going to stand over there and throw haymakers and hop at my face because I ragged him after a loss. I'm going to shake his hand. I'm going to say, great game, Julio, because I know we're in the same division. I can't wait to see you again in Atlanta. Maybe I could take you to Gladys Knight's Waffles and Chicken.
Oh,
Fair enough. I mean, that sounds good. And again, that's an LSU guy and an Alabama guy. So, I mean, you got the whole thing going. But that was a stunning play.
Yeah, it was.
It was. If you think about it, though,
Jump
we've
off the
watched
couch.
Julio drop balls. Though.
yeah. Yes, we have.
You know, it's not saying he's not sure-handed,
But
or
he
doesn't
has.
but he's dropped footballs, and you know, anybody who's ever been like wide open, those are the hardest
ones to
balls
catch,
because you
yeah.
know that nobody's around
Right,
you,
and you should catch
and you should catch it. You get so nervous watching that ball come down.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I hear you.
Paper cuts,
I'm just
Green. Paper cuts
Listen,
hurt, especially when the commercial comes and the lady gets. I watch y'all in the barbershop
Yeah.
every Friday morning.
Yeah.
And you got to stop being so soft, Greeny. At least so publicly.
I made
he
the
gonna
comment
stop?
that
I mean-
that commercial where the woman is like licking the envelope.
Oh,
and
gets
she
it
gets
cut
a
in her
paper-
tongue,
I have
yeah.
to look away. That one freaks me out a lot. I'm not fond of the woman drinking the sour milk either, and that whole commercial
You're
really
asking
bums
him
me
to
out.
toughen up?
yeah.
Seriously?
Golic, it's time. He's going to be on his own.
50-some-year-old man. I mean, he can't do it.
Greeny, you're in your 50s?
I'm only 50. I'm not 50-something.
You're in your 50s.
I am
Greeny, you
50.
look good, man.
I know. Thank you. I mean, thank you.
Wow, I know. Seriously?
Wow.
I'll tell you what. Things are changing around here, man. Gosh.
RC, you're the best. Thank you very much.
You guys have a
as
good
always.
one, man, for sure.
Al Michaels, the legend, next after this word from 1-800-Flowers. All right, guys, as football season looms closer to the playoff push, Saturdays and Sundays are heating up, along with the tempers of friends and